Sat Sri Akal. I'm Angela Khatri. I'm from Aquarius as a senior counsellor. Aquarius is a service working for people with alcohol problems. We have people coming into the service with a range of issues regarding their mental health, physical health, their gambling
drugs as well.
Yeah.
I'm Sat Sri Akal. My name's Wayne Dole. I'm also from Aquarius. I'm an alcohol practitioner, and we've come here today to sort of raise awareness of alcohol and to a certain extent of gambling and how it affects not just the person with the problem but also the wider family network as well.
We've got Jane here as well from the family service supporting us, and she's come across a lot of families this morning who have taken information for loved ones, or they are concerned about others drinking within the family or the wider community here.
And what we found is that there's a lot of reluctance on behalf of often the men in the Sikh community to acknowledge their own drinking, but we're getting a lot of the women coming along and actually taking material because they're concerned about a father, a brother or a son who they think may have problems with alcohol and with drinking. And what we find generally in the Sikh community is that it is a major issue. You only have to look at Sikh weddings, when people go in and there's bottles of whiskey and stuff on every table, but people are quite reluctant to acknowledge that this is a major problem for them.
Yeah. We're kind of finding a lot of Asians are drinking really excessively, and I think over the last 5 to 10 years, the numbers have been increasing regarding A&E admissions, and we're trying to give out as much information on units and to drink sensibly and within the limits. And the government here in Britain recommend that women should consume up to 2 to 3 units daily, and for men 3 to 4 units on a daily basis as well. But regarding the Asian community, I mean, we get clients who are drinking up to maybe a bottle of whiskey a day, or a bottle of vodka a day, which is near enough 26 to 28 units a day. And they don't understand what units mean. They may be buying a bottle and probably think, well, there's only a couple of units in this, when actually that's not the case.
And one of the other problems is within the sort of South Asian communities is the relationship between alcohol problems and other health problems, especially things like diabetes, heart conditions, blood pressure, and they don't realise that their drinking can make these problems worse, or the drinking can actually help create some of these problems. So it's really important for South Asian communities, because they are much more at risk of these health conditions, to sort of be mindful of their drinking and to monitor their drinking and also to seek help. And that's a big thing, to seek help, rather than to end up in a situation where they end up in A&E as a consequence of their drinking. They're falling ill and they're having to get treatment on an emergency basis, which is often the way that people acknowledge the problem. It's much better to come before it becomes that sort of a problem and deal with it earlier.
I just wanted to give you some information on units here. A standard bottle of or a can of lager, which is, let's say, 3.5% of alcohol by volume, that probably carries up to about 2 to 3 units, 3.5 units in a standard. And it's your liver that actually breaks the units down in your system. When we're eating too much sugar, salt, fat, it's your liver that gets rid of all the toxins. So with alcohol, it's your liver that's got to break the units down as well, and it can take up to 2.5 units to break down 1 unit of alcohol. And when we've got clients who are drinking really excessively, up to, let's say, half a bottle or a full bottle, it's taking near enough a day or 2 for their liver to work on the units before it's out of their system.
And one of the other things you've got to think about when we're talking about the general health problems is that because a lot of people in the South Asian communities have diabetes, have high blood pressure, and they're on medication for that, when you're on the medication, that slows down the rate at which your body processes the alcohol quite dramatically. So it could take 4 or 5 times as long to remove the amount of alcohol. And this is often what people don't realise, and it leads into problems like when they get done for drink driving, because they feel sober. It's the day after, or even the day after that, they get stopped by the police, they get breathalyzed, and then they're over the limit, and they're really surprised, and they're thinking, well, but I haven't had a drink for 24 hours, maybe even 48 hours, and they're thinking, well, I can't possibly over the limit, and it's because they've got other health problems as well as their drinking, and these are the sort of things that you need to think about within the South Asian communities. And also, the relationship between your drinking and your mental health, because alcohol is a drug. And it's a depressant drug, and you often get depression, anxiety, and all these other mental health problems, and that will be a consequence of your drinking. And often when people stop drinking, those problems go away, or they dramatically lessen. But people don't realise it's the alcohol that's creating those problems or making those problems worse. So it's not just your physical health; it's your mental health as well. And problems go in hand, so there's alcohol, there's drugs, and there's gambling. People often go out, have a drinking session, go to a casino, so the gambling's involved. Then at the end of the night they might take some drugs as well. So you get them all together. It's very rare that you get one person who just has an alcohol problem, doesn't have any physical health problem, doesn't have any mental health problems, just has an alcohol problem, and they don't have anything else. Often the problems come together, and it's being aware of how they can link up and how they can make situations much, much worse. And Angela's just going to talk about how it can affect the families and the wider family network.
I mean, over the years, with me working for Aquarius, I think what I have found is that a lot of families kind of feel isolated or excluded and not kind of knowing what's been going on with the drink or why they're drinking so much or what the issues are and so on. And once they've ended up in hospital, they're around the bed and trying to find out, well, what has gone on here. With our family service now, we're able to go out and actually give support to the family within their homes, get them to come into the service, take part in our groups so that they don't feel that they're on their own. They've got, similarities with other people kind of coming across the same issues as well, and they're able to support each other.
One of the important things is actually having specific Asian language speakers who can speak Punjabi, who can speak to family members in their own language, because often the family members are often older people whose English isn't their first language, and it's really important to because often they're the people that are holding the family together through these difficult times when someone's falling ill, someone's going to hospital, and actually that they need support. And there is a lot of evidence that that these people then become unwell themselves through the sheer amount of stress and strain that and pressure they're under supporting this family member who's got all these issues. And actually one of the big things is the shame that people feel about admitting this is a problem, because in the Sikh community you're not supposed to drink, you're not supposed to smoke, you're not supposed to do a lot of things, but people are doing these things, and you don't want to be women going to the Gurdwara and sort of like saying, oh, you see her son, I've heard her son was blah blah blah, and doing all, and this sort of shame it's a real barrier to people actually engaging with services and getting help, because they don't want to admit that it's a problem themselves, or the relatives don't want to admit it as a problem. We've come here today and we haven't had that many people, we've had no one say that they have an issue with alcohol themselves, but we've had a lot of women, older women often, concerned about their brother, their son or whoever, and their drink problem, and that's typical of presentation we get. And often the men come when they've been in A&E, and they've been in hospital and they've collapsed, and an ambulance has had to pick them up, and they've stayed in hospital for a couple of times, and the consultant there's saying, you really need to get help, and that's the basis that they've got the help. And then when we get them in, we talk to them about their gambling, about their drug use, and we realise those are problems as well. So yeah, it's a much bigger problem. It's a much bigger problem in the Sikh community than people would like to acknowledge.
This is getting worse because of the 24-hour licensing now in Britain. People, binge drinking over the weekend a lot more. The culture in England, changing over the last couple of years as well. And if you know of anyone who does have a drinking problem or would benefit from contacting us, our website is aquarius.org.uk, and our contact number for Bristol Street is 0121 414 0888.